actually thinking of saying. Somebody has a link? Do you have a link for me? No, I'm looking for a graph with a line. A graph with a line, a physical line. It's a very, very illustrative. It has little vertical lines that indicate the major BLM events, like Ahmaud Arbery and what have you. Did you see Matt Christman and True Anon talk shit about him? Talk shit about who? Ahmaud Arbery? That would be unfortunate. Wait, to whom are we referring? No, sorry, Matt Christman and True Anon talk shit about you? No, I didn't. What, on Twitter? Or over their podcast or something like that? That makes sense, though. The True Anon people, every once in a while, whenever there's drama about me online... perfect, you found it for me. Whoever just posted the Civics link, you found it for me. Thank you. The True Anon podcast, whenever there's drama about me, for some reason, will, like, just... just reply to a tweet and say that I have a ponytail or something like that. I have no idea. It's really, really weird. I've never actually seen them criticize me. They just show up and like make a comment on my hair. I don't know. And as for Matt Christman, I think Matt Christman has actually said that he doesn't want to have a conversation with me because he thinks that I would benefit or profit from it in some way, which means that he's probably doing the same thing that Sargon of Akkad. They literally criticized you for being a podcaster? Oh, I see. Well, I can produce more than 2 hours of content a week, so if we're criticizing each other based on our respective podcasting capabilities, then I don't know. The podcaster with a man bun, I guess. Anyway, Matt Christman, I'm pretty sure at like declined speaking with me in the past on the whole like Sargon of Akkad, like he would make money from it thing, which is pretty disappointing. But my opinion on this has remained fairly consistent. I think that Chapo Trap House has done a lot of really good stuff, and they've educated and radicalized a lot of really good people. I think their heart broke in half when Bernie lost back in like the earlier this year. And I think that since then, they've just been a hollow shell who are more concerned with cynicism and the politics of apathy than they are with actually making the world a better place. I think there's a reason why the community they've cultivated around them is so terrible, and it's because the way they discuss politics doesn't really like provide a holistic or complete understanding of an issue. It just gives you segments that can lead people in different directions, sometimes in bad ones. I feel the same way about Kulinski, yeah, definitely. But Kulinski has done far more good for the world because Kulinski started Justice Dems, which is the closest thing we've had to an avenue for building dual power in this country in like a century. So yeah, it's a shame that the Chapo boys have lost their heart and soul. Bernie suspended his campaign; he didn't lose. He lost. Biden has accepted the nomination from the DNC. It's over, my friend. It's over. Here's how Bernie can still... Bernie unsuspends his campaign, runs as an independent, puts himself on the independent ballot on November 3rd, and listen, if we just donate enough money... Yeah, I think Chapo gives you stuff to sneer at, which just isn't enough, you know? I don't know. The point where I liked Chapo the most, I think the point where I was most heartened by Chapo was when Bernie was at his peak, and they were talking about they were very optimistic. This was like right after Nevada, and they were very optimistic, and they were talking about how we're standing on the precipice of an unfathomable change in the framework of this country. How everything is going to change, and how we all need to be ready to take this country in hand and lead it in a better direction when the ball really starts rolling. And I thought that was a reflection, and I think the Amber gave a speech on how bad pessimism is for the movement. And I thought at the time that this was like a really good reflection of their politics and their sincerity, but now I see it for what it was, which was insincere and entirely dependent on a feeling of victory. And that all of that shit goes right in the fucking toilet and you go right back to fucking bitter posting, apathy, irony, poison bullshit. The nanosecond that your faith in the system wavers, and that's very, very disappointing. You know, politics were just a theology for them. Matt unironically became a Buddhist after losing. Is that true? Was Bernie their god? Oof. No wonder they got so. Yeah, no wonder they got so hurt. Yeah, the New Hampshire episode was incredible. You should do a segment on irony poisoning on the left. Listen, I love you guys, but I don't know if you can tell. I know I have, just wonderfully vibrant eyes and smooth skin, but it does exhaust me constantly arguing with the entire left. It's not something that I am that I enjoy tremendously. The main issue for me is that there aren't really any like good pockets of the left, I feel, outside of like my community. It feels like every other big community of leftists has some like huge problem with it, you know? They're Bernie or busters, or they're tankies, or they're hideously irony poisoned. They think that the Democrats and the Republicans are exactly the same. Unironically, a lot of Contra's not a leftist, really. Contra's probably just a soakdem. You know? But I'm not saying that our community was bad. I would say, however, I do think I think Hassan's community is pretty good. I would also say I think that when it comes to advancing the material goals of socialists in this country, both in terms of sincerity and in terms of speed, I think that soakdems are actually better allies to us than irony poison leftists. I would rather have one optimistic person who thinks that I would rather have like an optimistic soakdem who thinks America just needs free healthcare and is really passionate about that than a irony poisoned ML who does nothing but comment on how the Republicans and Democrats are the same from a podcast that gets 6 viewers. You know, that's not a dig at Chapo. They have way, way, way more presence than I do. But yeah, who's Hassan? Hassan is the himbo frat boy. The other, I am the second largest leftist streamer, and Hassan is the first largest leftist streamer. So there you go. Contra talks about Marx like every other video, but that's the thing. Marx was primarily renowned for his criticisms of capitalism, not for his advocacy for communism. You can agree with many of Marx's criticisms without actually being a socialist. I don't know if Natalie is actually a socialist. I don't think she's ever said she wants the decommodification or seizure of the means of production. What do candidates who drop out do with all their extra money? There are legal procedures for that. I don't know what exactly they do, but I'm pretty sure there are laws regarding how you're supposed to use your money after your campaign falls through or what have you. She said she didn't know when you asked her. Oh, well, there you go. But like I said, it doesn't matter to me because we're pushing in the same direction. The direction that I'm pushing in, leftist advocacy, move people to the left, de-radicalize the alt-right, fight fascism. We're all moving left. That's great. That's good. I don't know where she'll stop or where I'll stop, but we're moving in the same direction. I feel like a lot of leftists in this country aren't moving in the same direction as me. They have this entirely weird, it's like a pseudo-accelerationist worldview where they think that apathy is like legitimately the pathway to achieving socialism. Don't believe their nonsense when they act as though not voting for Biden is like a principled position. It's because they're apathetic. And I'll tell you this right now. You all are braver than any of the motherfuckers who just like sit back and watch or produce Chapo Trap House and do nothing else. You know why? Because you all care about Biden winning out over Trump, a pivotal a battle in this country's history to preserve at least a veneer of bourgeois democracy, the battlefield upon which we must fight. And that is exhausting. Every day following the news, seeing the favorability polls, all that shit, that's exhausting. That is so fucking tiring, dude. It is much easier to just check out, go, it's all capitalism. It's all capitalism, and just lean back and just, I don't really care. Trump, Biden, whatever. Neither of them are working class parties. It's not a principled position. It's a child's attempt to emotionally distance themselves from the consequences of a really important historical event. And you've seen people do that before, haven't you? I mean, you have seen people do that in the past, haven't you? You've seen people like check out of really important issues because they don't want to sort of come to grips with having to care about it. Like, it's a pretty common mechanism for self-preservation. It's just disappointing to see people who call themselves activists doing that. I'm with you so far, Vaush, but in what ways do we think Trump will dismantle our democracy? I mean, if anything, he's exposed we never truly had one anyway. There's no such thing as a true democracy. All democracies have pitfalls and they have benefits. We do have a democracy. It's riddled with propaganda, but we do have a functional democracy. If everybody came out and voted for one candidate, that candidate would win. We don't have like a dictatorship democracy where like your ballots just go into a shredder and then the one person wins with 101% of the vote. There are ways in which our democracy has some degree of sincerity. Again, apathy posting doesn't help us in this respect. So with regards to how Trump could destroy the democracy, the most obvious one right now is the fact that he is very deliberately trying to undermine the USPS's ability to process mail-in ballots. It could very well be in this upcoming election, despite all our best efforts, even if we come out millions of votes ahead of Trump, that it doesn't matter. Because Democrats are more likely to vote in by mail because we're more worried about COVID-19. And that means a lot of those votes just don't get processed or they get lost, And then 6 months after the election, we just find a big a pile of ballots that didn't get processed. But by that point, it's too late. We have Trump openly saying that he's not going to accept the results of the election if he lost. We have Trump talking about how he deserves a third term because his first term was undermined by the fraudulent and criminal Russiagate investigation. There are a lot of more subtle things as well. Like, Trump represents an incredibly substantial threat to our democracy. It's not... There's a huge difference between bourgeois democracy and fascism. The fact that lefties seem to forget this is an indication they're less familiar with theory than they let on. It's because there is in fact, a very large difference. And I'll give you guys a hint, folks. Leftists have never once won. Once. Against fascists once fascists take power. It has never happened. Not once. There has never been a fascist government that allowed a leftist uprising to continue to exist within its midst, which was then destroyed by said uprising. Usually it's the internal contradictions of fascism which lead to its demise, and sometimes lefties get to pick up the pieces. But usually we're the first ones up. Hitler killed socialists first, not Jews, because Jews are people. Socialists are warriors. And also people. But we pose the most present threat to them. And they know that, so they target us first. I don't know why lefties don't recognize that for the fascists, They're our greatest threat. But we seem to keep treating them like they're of equal priority to stop as the fucking, bourgeois Democrats, Yes, first they came for the communists, blah, blah. Anyway, please don't ever dab again. I can see who amongst my chatting community was not familiar with my content back in 2019. I was an avid dabber, as it were. A lot of socialists were Jews. Well, obviously the Jewish... okay, so they say communists went first, but obviously it was the Jewish communists who went first, the overlap. You love Jews? I love Jewish people. Love Jewish people. You have something in your lower lip? You mean my entire beard? Here's the clip where Truanon and Chrisman call you stupid. Oh, was this over a Twitch stream? Oh, I see. Wait, calling me a podcaster while you're streaming?
With the beard and shit. He was like a Joe Biden guy, anarchist or whatever. It's incredible. It's who only... These guys...
They're offline, by the way. We're not spilling any tea.
Oh, well, it's back on now.
Oh, well, okay. These guys are incredible.
Yeah, no, that Vaush guy, people want me to debate him, and I've looked
What's the debate?
Like, what would you want me to jangle keys in front of his face? He seems like one of the dumbest people I've ever encountered.
He is literally... He's
a YouTuber?
A corpulent independent filmmaker who literally, all he does, this is his job. He sits in front of the computer and he talks to people. He's like, when I said material conditions guys earlier, he's one of those guys.
Anything that's good is material conditions.
What?
And it's like, these guys, it's just like, it blows my mind because these...
Wait. Does somebody have a picture of what the Chapo Trap House boys look like when they're all... Wait. I think I saw a picture of what they look like when they're recording. It's literally just like 3 dude bro... Like... The criticisms of me just being a guy who sits at the computer are very strange. That seems like a very insubstantial criticism to levy. Yeah, like I don't know. I mean, we all produce online content. I don't know why we're going in that direction. It seems like a weird weird path to take. Calling me corpulent when I'm pretty sure I'm skinnier. In fact, when I'm exceedingly confident that I'm skinnier than Matt, is also a little bit strange. Yeah, I don't know. I've never asked to debate Matt Chrisman in my life. I don't know. I'm sure my fans have pointed that out. I'm sure my fans have levied that challenge to them because they're my fans. But what was the criticism there? I sit at my computer and I jangle keys. See, this is precisely what I mean when I say I'm like, I really have no faith in like the online left as it exists. When I criticize Chapo Trap House, I can point to like specific episodes and behaviors where I think like this was cool, but then they let me down here, you know? And they're like, Vaush, he's a fat idiot. He's a fat idiot. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it shows you where you're going with this, right? Or, yeah. It's because they have no arguments? Well, yeah, no shit, dude. Because I upset them. Isn't that an ad hom fallacy? What am I, a fucking nerd? I'm not accusing them of being fallacious. I'm accusing them of being stupid and dishonest. No, it's just, it's kind of funny, though, because, like, when you engage in behavior like that, I think what it really does remind me is that like I'm really fucking needed here, because what it reveals is that everything the Chapo boys represented with their podcast really was just a sort of veneer of educated cultural commentary stretched over just dumb fuck apathy bros. Self-justifying their apparent unwillingness to engage with the political reality sincerely. Yeah, they're like triggered that I'm voting Biden. Well, all the lefties who don't want to vote Biden are triggered by me because they know I'm right and they know they don't have any good arguments and it makes them really upset. I've seen how they talk about me. I've seen what happens when I Google my own name or when I fucking name search myself on Twitter. These motherfuckers get so upset just at the mention of me with like no substance whatsoever. They are like, ugh. Normally that's just like the normies, but to hear it from like people who actually have a huge presence in the online left sphere, it's good. I'm glad I make them mad. I think that they only at this point do a disservice to the left, and I hope to build an empire of media awareness atop their rotting media carcasses. Fuck them. Jesus. Thank you for my phone back. I always do.